AI can be useful for nonprofit fundraising teams. It can help staff turn rough notes into a first draft, summarize information, organize questions, and sometimes make reporting analysis easier to approach. But one part of the AI conversation can get skipped too quickly: the quality of the data underneath it. AI doesn't have a separate understanding of your fundraising program. It's working from the information your organization gives it, the systems it's connected to, or the file someone uploads to it. So, if the donor data is incomplete, if campaign coding has changed over time, if reporting requires a lot of manual interpretation, or if staff are using fields in different ways, AI is going to run into the same issues. That's why I wanted to start this AI readiness conversation here. AI won't fix bad fundraising data. I'm Jasmin with jbdatastrategies, where I talk about practical data strategy for nonprofit fundraising operations. For nonprofit fundraising teams, that matters because fundraising data isn't just information in a database. It represents donor relationships, giving history, campaign activity, stewardship decisions, revenue reporting, and leadership strategy. I also want to talk about why nonprofits should take a closer look at their CRM data, reporting definitions, coding practices, workflows, governance, and donor privacy practices before they begin relying too heavily on AI tools. This is a practical conversation. A lot of nonprofit teams are curious about AI right now, and that makes sense. Fundraising teams are busy, and many organizations are dealing with limited staff capacity, growing reporting demands, and systems that have been built over many years by many different people. AI can feel like a way to get some breathing room. It may help someone turn rough notes into a first draft, as I mentioned. It may help summarize a meeting. It may help organize a set of questions before a vendor conversation. It may help staff think through a report or clean up language for internal review. Those are useful things. The concern starts when AI is used as though it can make the underlying data more trustworthy than it actually is. A polished summary can still be based on unreliable data. A donor segment can still be based on incomplete records. A report can still reflect coding issues in the CRM. A stewardship message can still include the wrong assumptions about a donor. So, the question for nonprofit fundraising teams is practical. Before AI becomes part of the workflow, how much confidence do you have that the data we'll be using is good? The CRM is still the system of record for most fundraising teams. That's where gift history lives. That's where campaign and appeal information should be tracked. That's where donor relationships, contact preferences, portfolio assignments, stewardship activity, pledges, soft credits, restrictions, and recognition preferences often need to be maintained. AI may connect to the CRM someday, sit inside a fundraising platform, summarize exported data, or help analyze information from a report. But still, the fundraising truth has to come from somewhere. For most teams, that somewhere is the CRM. So when the CRM isn't reliable, the AI output needs to be reviewed with that reality in mind. One way this shows up is with reporting. It's easy to imagine asking AI to help build a fundraising report template. In theory, that sounds pretty simple. You explain what you want the report to show, provide the data fields, ask AI to help organize the logic. But in real fundraising operations, the hard part is often explaining the data clearly enough for the report to make sense. Maybe similar campaign activity has been coded several different ways. Maybe appeal codes have changed across the fiscal years. Maybe gift categories are used inconsistently. Maybe some expectations are documented and there are others remembered by only one person. Maybe leadership uses one definition for a report, while the CRM export reflects something slightly different. At that point, AI doesn't have a clean set of rules to follow. It may still generate a structure, but the structure may not reflect the way the organization actually needs to understand the data. That's a development operations issue. Before AI can help with better reporting, the organization needs enough clarity around the fields, the codes, the definitions, the exceptions that drive those reports. And this is where development operations becomes central to AI readiness. Development operations understands where the data comes from and how it's entered, coded, reviewed, and where the weak spots are. Development operations also knows which reports are trusted and which need manual cleanup, which processes depend on historical knowledge that has never fully been documented. And that context definitely matters. Because AI tools may sound confident even when the data underneath them is uneven. Let's take a basic example: duplicate donor records, the classic. If one donor has multiple records in the CRM, their giving history may be split. One record may show direct mail gifts, another may show online gifts, and the other may include event attendance or relationship notes. If AI is asked to identify loyal donors, upgraded prospects, or highly engaged supporters, it may not recognize the full relationship picture. The donor may look less engaged than they really are because the CRM doesn't show their activity in one complete record. That kind of data issue affects more than data cleanup. It can affect stewardship, segmentation, portfolio review, and leadership reporting. Another common example is campaign and appeal coding. Many fundraising teams have inherited codes from previous years, previous staff, previous campaigns, or previous systems. Sometimes the structures make sense when they're created, but over time, the naming becomes inconsistent. One appeal might be coded one way in the CRM, and another can be coded differently in a spreadsheet, another way in a leadership report. When AI is asked to summarize performance, it may not know which codes belong together or which codes should be separated. It may produce a clear answer, but the answer may be built on data that was never structured clearly in the first place. That's where a nonprofit can get into trouble. The output looks usable, so people may trust it too quickly. Gift coding is another area where this matters. Fundraising revenue isn't always simple. Teams may need to distinguish between outright gifts, pledges, payments, restricted revenue, unrestricted revenue, sponsorships, matching gifts, event revenue, soft credits, and donor advised fund gifts. The good old DAFs. When those categories are unclear or inconsistently applied, reporting can become pretty confusing. Leadership may think a campaign performed in a certain way. Finance may be looking at the revenue completely differently. Development may be counting gifts based on fundraising logic. A donor record may tell one story, while a dashboard tells another. AI can't resolve those differences on its own. The organization has to understand the definitions and then decide how the data should be interpreted. The same concerns show up with donor segmentation. A lot of AI conversation around fundraising eventually moved towards segmentation. People want to identify donors who may be ready for an upgrade, donors who may need stewardship or may be lapsing, or donors who might respond to a particular message. That can be helpful, but the segment has to come from reliable data. If engagement activity isn't consistently tracked, if communication preferences are missing, if giving history is split across duplicate records, or if staff activity lives outside the CRM, the segment may say more about the organization's data habits than the donor's actual behaviors. That distinction is extremely important. AI may help create a segment, but the fundraising team still needs to understand what information was used to create it. The stewardship is another place where accuracy matters. AI may help draft a thank you message or summarize a donor's relationship with the organization, but if the donor's recognition preference is missing, if the giving history is incomplete, if the household relationship is wrong, or if the donor gives through another entity, the message may sound thoughtful and still be inaccurate. In stewardship, accuracy is part of the trust. A donor can usually tell when an organization doesn't understand the relationship clearly. So even when AI helps with language, someone still needs to review the donor content before anything is used. And this is why I don't think AI strategy should sit only with leadership, technology, or communications. Development operations needs to be part of the conversation and early. Before a tool is adopted, before a feature is turned on, or before staff start using donor data in new ways, the organization should understand what information the tool will use and what decisions may be influenced by the output. That doesn't mean every organization needs a long, complicated process before anyone can experiment with AI. It doesn't mean the organization should be honest. It just means that the organization should be honest about the condition of its data foundation. A practical place to start is with a few basic areas. Start with the CRM. Where are there duplicate records and which fields are reliable? Which fields are often blank? Are there household relationships and are they maintained? Are contact preferences and recognition preferences accurately used? Are donor records being updated consistently? Then look at that coding. Are campaigns, appeals, funds, and gift codes being used in the same way across the team? Are old codes still accurate? Do staff understand the difference between the similar codes? Are exceptions written down somewhere? Then look at the reporting definitions. When the organization talks about revenue, retention, lapsed donors, upgraded donors, campaign performance, or major donor activity, does everyone mean the same thing? That question matters because AI can only summarize based on the definitions available to it. When the definitions are unclear, the summary may be unclear too. Then look at the workflows. How does information get into the CRM? Who enters it? Who reviews it? Where does the handoff break down? Where are staff keeping separate spreadsheets? Because the CRM doesn't fully support the way they work. Those side system matters, or as they say, shadow databases. They often exist for practical reasons, but they can also create risk when important donor or reporting information lives outside of the official system. Then look at governance and privacy. Who can create new codes? Who can change fields? Who can export donor data? What information should never be entered into public AI tools? What review should happen before an AI generated summary recommendation or report is shared? These questions aren't about slowing the organization down. They're about making sure the organization understands the data environment that AI will depend on. No nonprofit has perfect data. Every fundraising database has history. Every organization inherits old decisions, processes, workarounds, and old reporting structures. So, this conversation shouldn't be about blaming staff or acting as though messy data means a team failed. In most nonprofits, messy data is the result of growth, turnover, urgency, limited capacity, and years of people trying to solve real operational problems with the tools they had available at those times. The responsible step is to understand where the risks are, which reports can be trusted as they are, which reports require interpretation, which fields are reliable enough for segmentation, which coding structures need cleanup before they can support automation or analysis. Which workflows need documentation? Which privacy practices need clearer guidance? That's the kind of work that makes AI readiness practical. It gives nonprofit teams a better sense of where AI can help now, where human review is essential, and where the organization needs to strengthen the foundation before relying on more advanced tools. AI can be useful, but its usefulness depends on the environment it's working in. For fundraising teams, that environment includes the CRM, the reporting structure, the coding practices, the workflows, the governance, the documentation, and the people who understand how all of those pieces fit together. That's why development operations matters so much in this conversation. Development operations is often where the reality of the data becomes visible. It's where the team sees the gap between what leadership wants to know and what the system can actually support. It's where the team understands why a report requires manual adjustment, why a field is unreliable, why a code exists, why a workflow has changed, or why staff created a separate spreadsheet outside of the CRM. That kind of knowledge isn't secondary to AI strategy. It's part of the strategy. Before a nonprofit fundraising team relies on AI for donor insights, reporting, segmentation, stewardship, automation, or leadership decisions, the organization should take a serious look at the development operations foundation underneath it. That includes the CRM data, the coding structure, the reporting definitions, the workflows, governance practices and documentation, the permissions, and the privacy standards. AI may help teams move faster. The important thing is making sure they're moving faster with the information they can trust. If your nonprofit is exploring AI in fundraising, I created a free resource to help your team review the development operations foundation behind responsible AI use. You can download the Nonprofit AI Readiness Checklist through the link in the video description. My contact information is also in the description if your organization needs help with reviewing where AI, data, systems, workflows, and fundraising operations intersect. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to JB Data Strategies for practical conversations about nonprofit fundraising operations, CRM strategy, reporting, data governance, and development operations. I'll see you next time.